Hello everyone. It is Jackie with Pocket of Preschool. And as always, I am so excited you're here with me tonight. So tonight we are talking all about 2D shapes and shape activities and shape manipulatives and basically like everything you can do to help your kiddos learn about two-dimensional shapes. So yeah. I forgot. And I'm giving you a tour of my pizza shop in Dramatic Play, because when we do shapes for our shape theme, we put a pizza shop in the Dramatic Play Center because pizzas are full of shapes. So that's what we're up to tonight. So go ahead and pop in the comments, and I want to know, do you do a separate shape theme, or do you just infuse learning about shapes all year long? I just love to hear what you guys do in your classrooms too. So let me know in the comments if you do a separate shape theme, which that's what I did last year because most of my kiddos knew their shapes. So we just infused shapes throughout all of our other themes, or do you do a separate shape theme? So let me know in the comments. So like always, I'm gonna flip it around and show you guys kind of what we're doing for this 2-week shape theme. So we are doing a 2-week shape theme this year. Last year we didn't do a shape theme separate. We just kind of did it all year. So yeah, I'm gonna flip it around and let's get started. I'm gonna show you so this is my Discovery Center, and my kiddos do not know their shapes very well this year. Math is a little bit of an area of weakness for us. So instead of doing a science unit, which I had planned on at the beginning of the year, I was going to do my Force in Motion, a ball study in the Science Center. But since my kiddos are struggling with shapes so much, I set up my Science Center to do shape sorting, because sorting is science. So I scrapped that, and we're sticking to more shaped sorting and shape activities in the Science Center. And if you're asking about these drawers, so these are my STEM drawers, and I got them from Michael's. I saw a couple people asking. So that is my shapes center. And all of the printable shapes things are in my 2D shape pack in my Teachers by Teacher store. So like these posters are in there, the sorting boards, all of that. So in the Science Center, I made this sorting board. It's just a piece of poster paper, and then I turned it. I'm gonna turn you guys sideways so you can see it. I just put some tape on there to make it a sorting board. It is seriously nothing fancy, but I love using posters for sorting boards, just adding some tape. And then I put the shape cards on there, and so they can sort shapes. And I just have a basket of real things from our classroom and manipulatives they can sort by shape. And I have some shape cards that are different sizes and different orientations of shapes, so that way they can sort those as well. And then I have some hands-on shape building things. So like these are the road shape cards. So what they do, and these little cards are from the Target Party section. I think the ones I have now are a little bit bigger, but they'll still work. So they drive the shape, and then they can also use a dry erase marker and trace it. So that way they're touching and feeling and checking out that shape. And then I also have popsicle stick shape cards, so they can also build the shape with popsicle sticks. And then I have Play-Doh here as well. That way if they want to do Play-Doh on the popsicle stick cards or the the road shape cards, they can. And I know some of you do diamond and some of you do rhombus, and you'll actually see both in my classroom because I tell them that a rhombus and a diamond, I know technically they're not the same shape, but for a preschooler and a kindergartner, they're kind of the same shape. So I have rhombus and I have triangle in my classroom, and we talk about how they're the same shape, and some people call them a rhombus, some people call them a diamond. So you'll see kind of like I have diamond down there and I call it rhombus up here. So I use both of them with my kiddos since they will use both in their classroom. Or in the kindergarten classroom that my preschool feeds into. So that is my Science Center, which really isn't about science. It's about classifying shapes, which classifying is science. So, and then every day for circle, so I'm Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we're going to read a shape book every day and kind of focus on a shape. So our message today was triangles have 3 sides. And then I showed them a picture of a triangle, and then we read a triangle book, and then we sorted shapes by, you can't see it very well since it's yellow, sorry guys. So it says triangle and then not a triangle. So I had these foam shapes and everybody got one, and they put it on the board if it was a triangle or if it wasn't a triangle. And then these everyday object cards, and they sorted by triangle and not a triangle. And then everybody, I told them they had to walk around the classroom and find me a triangle. And so they found all of these things, which are mostly out of our sensory table. And then some of them found stuff from dramatic play, but I had to put those back since they're using those for play. So they found an everyday object, and they used the icon cards, and then they used these foam shapes. So that's what we're doing kind of for circle for our shape theme. We're reading a shape book, and then we're doing a shape sort. And then in the library center, I have lots and lots of shape books. I'll show you my favorites. I love the book, The Shape of Themes. I usually read it towards the end of my theme because it talks about how basically it points out the shapes in each illustration, and then there's a pattern that goes at the bottom and the top, and then they can find the shapes within the picture. And I love reading this book, The Shape of Things, and then making shape collages because you can connect it to the book, so you can say we're going to make shape collages just like the illustrator Julie Lacombe did in The Shape of Things. So I love trying to make illustrations like real illustrators do. So that's kind of one we do at the end of our study. And then I also love this city shapes books. She walks around her city and finds different shapes. I got this from Scholastic last year. I love this one. And it's got beautiful illustrations, and it's great for, you can read city shapes and then maybe go on a shape walk around your classroom or outside if it's warm. Right now we have snow on the ground, so yeah, so not going outside, but we could definitely do a shape walk around our classroom. So yeah, and then here's just some more shape books that I have on my shelf. And then here is my writing center. So I just put up the shape cards, and you can tell they've been using them because they're kind of all mishmashed, which is totally fine with me. I'm just happy they're using them in the writing center. And I usually leave them so they're not perfect all the time, because that shows the other friends that they are using them, and that hopefully gets their other friends using them too. So those are just from the shape pack. And then I found these shapes in the Target dollar spot, these shape stamps. So I put these out, and then I also put out some letter stamps, just with a giant ink pad and some paper. And then this little friend, she actually left these at the writing table today, just happened to. So she stamped the letters and then wrote it, and then she also stamped some of the shapes, and then she tried to trace those too. So those are her things she did in the writing center, and I was like, oh, how perfect that she left those there. It's like she knew I was doing a Facebook Live for you guys tonight. And then I also have my sand trays out. Oh, there it is. I was like, oh no, all the sand is missing. So these trays are just lacing set containers from either the Target dollar spot or the Melissa and Doug lacing sets come in them. And I usually put, this is sand, and this is actually colored salt I just dyed. But yeah, so it's again these shape cards that are in the 2D shape pack, and then they pick one and they write it. We actually did this for table time in the morning, and then they erase. So they love the sand trays. So yeah, so that is the library center. Lots and lots of fun. So even though we're learning about shapes, we're still writing them. Even though we're not writing letters this week, we're still writing shapes. So even though we're not writing, again, letters, and we're writing shapes, because illustrations are just as important as the letters in those books. And this is the art center, and you can see the pizzas, which I'll tell you about in just a second. So on my art shelf this week, I have my Play-Doh tray, and they're making shape monsters. So basically, these are just some shape cookie cutters I have, and then I have some these are those little itty bitty, they're by the popsicle sticks in Michael's, and so they can use them for like hands and feet and stuff, or arms and legs. And then I just have some eyeballs, so they can make some shape monsters. Oh, Kristen said she bought sand from the Dollar Tree or the dollar store, so she didn't have to make it. And I saw somebody else ask how I make my colored sand. I made a whole bunch last year. I want to say, I'll turn it around. I want to say that to dye the colored sand, I just put the colored sand in, and then I squirted liquid watercolor in, and then I just kind of shook the baggie up, and then I like laid it out to dry. That's all I did. I want to say I'm 99% sure that's how I made it, but I will test it and I will let you guys know. But yeah, I want to say it was just regular salt, and then squirt some liquid watercolor in, and then let it smush it, and then like set it out to dry. So yeah, super simple to make, and it's cheaper than buying the real sand in the store. And it does clump a little bit though, so you just gotta smash the clumps out. So yeah, you can see I have another spot up here. So typically that's where my my art activity is for the week, and it's always an option. They never have to do it. So this week it is just doing shape prints, and so this is a tray from the dollar store, and then so we have an oval and a rectangle and a triangle and a square and a circle. And these are I actually keep these, and I just use these year over and over and over. That way if I have to wash them and the blocks get a little gross, it's not a big deal. But yeah, so this was one I made when I when I bought Crayola paint, and I used the paint from Discount School Supply this year, and it's not as bright. So if you're doing the shape collages, I would use colored paper unless you have Crayola paint, then it shows up all bright and beautiful. But yeah, and then can I tell you a trick really quick on keeping this? So what I do is grab the scrap paper. So like this is typically over here, and I save this all week. And so what I do is I just kind of like smush this off. Let me get a tissue. Smush this off, and then I lay my shapes kind of like side up. I just kind of get all the excess off, and then I just lay them right there, or you can even like scrape it off and just lay it right here. And then I cover, once I have everything out, I just cover this with saran wrap, and then I can put these back in tomorrow. It may need a little extra paint, and sometimes by Friday it's a little, if they've used it a lot, it's a little yucky, but all I do is squirt some more paint in, but that way I'm not washing everything all week, every day, which it's just something that I like to do, is just kind of keep the art activity out, and that way I don't have to, re-put out new paint and waste paint that way. So yeah, so just cover it with saran wrap and take your shapes out, and then you're good to go for tomorrow. Just uncover it and then put all your shapes back in. And if you don't want to use shape blocks, you can also use like empty containers, like cups, and a little box, and just use the inside of it and cut off the edges. So you don't have to use blocks. And you can also, if you are doing like a shape a day, and you, like when I taught full day, I had kiddos from 7 a.m. to, I was the 7 a.m. to 2:30 shift. So we did kind of a shape each, and we did them separately. So like one day we did, or a couple days we would do just circles. So then they did a circle collage with toilet paper, paper towel tubes. And then another day we put out just triangles, and they did just triangle prints. So you can do either or. So you can do all the shapes at once, or you can divide it up and do just one at a time. It's totally up to you. And then, you gotta do shape collages when you're doing shapes. So this is actually my extra bucket of shapes, and you can tell like this was extra from the pizza stuff we did. But this is just like paper shapes that are extra from projects and things, and I just kind of keep it in the art center. And the shape collages we usually do at the end. Here's one my kiddo made from last year. It's his dog. Or if you don't want to do all the shapes at once, you could, again, just like we did over here, you can do just a square collage, or you can do just a rectangle collage. You don't always have to do all the shapes. If you want to really break it down, especially if you have like twos, you can totally break it down and do just squares and just rectangles. But if you have like kindergarten friends, you can totally bump it up to the harder level and do a shape collage with all of them. And then I also want to remind you that there's these amazing foam shapes. These are from Discount School Supply. It's like their bag o' shapes, and you get a ton. And I love these. They're great. You can make sensory battles with them. They're just awesome. You can put these in the sensory table. You can do collages with them, kind of whatever. But these are from Discount School Supply. These are from Michael's, and they're the ones that have the sticker backs on them. They're a little bit more expensive, but if you use your 40% off coupon, they're usually not that bad. But so I just wanted to remind you of just some other shape options if you don't have a collection of paper shapes. So those are options as well. So I'm going to keep you guys walking. So today for small group, we made shaped pizzas since we're doing our pizza theme, or our pizza and dramatic play. Now you can also do like shaped robots. You can do shaped gardens. If you're doing shapes in the spring, you can do shaped monsters. You can really do any kind of shaped collage you want, but so we did shaped pizzas. And this wasn't actually an art activity. I used it as a cutting and fine motor activity, and we also talked a lot about the shapes. So these bulletin board headers come with the 2D shape set, and so do the patterns. But I didn't have any extra of the what's it called, the crust. So they cut out the crust, and then they cut out the sauce, and then they had to put their toppings on. So we had green triangles for peppers, we had rectangles for cheese, squares for sausage, circles for olives, and then we had big circles for pepperoni. And these little things I get at the dollar store. So this is usually if I'm doing like a cutting or a craft, because I think of more of this as a craft than art. That's how I set it up in the morning. That way I can just grab this tray and take it over with me. And I was so proud because my 3-year-olds cut these circles out almost completely independently with no hand over hand. And that's huge, you guys, because I mean, it's only December, and that's a big deal. And they did use these loop scissors. I have both sizes. My one little friend likes the little ones, and my other guy likes the big ones. And these, if you go to the top of my post, the link to these is up there, and they basically spring back open. So they have to just cut, and then it opens up for them. And then we'll slowly move them to regular scissors this year. But I was just so excited because it helps them learn how to move the paper and manipulate the paper and move their other hand as they cut. So that is a super fun activity. And then my other trick for shape collages are these paper punches. You used to be able to get them at Michael's, and I don't know if they still have them anymore. But they're the Fiskars brand. But I actually keep these for me, the circle ones. They don't go in my art center because I use them for crafts. So that's how I cut the big pepperonis. And then I cut out the little circles because I'm really bad at cutting circles. The other ones I cut for the craft. So yeah, so a fun little collage. And like I said, you can do robots or gardens or monsters, or you can just do regular shape collages too. And then since we're kind of focusing on a shape a day, my kiddos are really into books this year. So we did circle on Monday, and today we did triangle. So we do table time in the morning. It's a little bit shorter, and then they make a book about their shape. So they write their name, and then they trace it, and then they decorate it, and then they make it on their own. We're gonna do one for almost all the shapes. I don't think we're gonna do oval. So we'll do all the basic shapes. But here's my friend is a pre-K friend. So you can see she's doing an awesome job making hers. And then here is a 3-year-old. So he decorated his, and he made his, and he traced it. So they look a little bit different, but they're still making the shapes and tracing them, and it'll just be at their own level, and that's totally okay. And you guys, they are so excited about these books, but I wanted to show you guys tonight. And they're like, can we please take them home? I'm like, I promise you can take them home on Friday, because I wanted to show you guys. So yeah, so they're very excited. And we're going to do one of these for the shape books. And then they actually, they cut on the line, and they cut on the line, and then they put it in whatever order they want, and then I help them staple the corner. So yeah, so a really fun way to add some literacy in with some shapes. And then we actually haven't done this activity yet, but it's also a shape sort. So you don't have to have this paper to do it. You can always do it with just like a poster, and then with real manipulatives. But I like doing kind of like we did for circle, triangle, and then not a triangle. Oh, whoops, I put these, okay. So I did this, guys. put them on the wrong side. Okay, so that way they have to sort which one is a triangle and which one is not. I do have higher level ones. That way if I have like number of points, sides, no sides, things like that. So just different ways to really look at shapes closely, because some kiddos know their shapes, but they may not know the characteristics of shapes. Like, you know, a rectangle has 2 long sides and 2 short sides and 4 corners. So for those kiddos who know their shapes, make sure you're really talking about those characteristics too. Like oval is round, and you know, the points and the vertices and all of that. And this is my shape pack that I was kind of talking to you guys about, and it's gigantic. And it does have a book list in there too, and I get all my books either from Amazon or Scholastic. And it just has tons and tons of games, and those are the shape cards, and just tons and tons, guys. Like, this unit is massive. The shape books are in there, everything. And I do have these shape cards in there because you can play, they can play, what's it called? They can play like Go Fish with the shape cards. You don't always have to use numbers, so they can play Go Fish. They can just match them. So yeah, these shape cards are great for a lot of things, and they do have the shapes in different orientations, because I think it's important not to always, so I think it's important too to always not show that traditional triangle or that perfect rectangle, like show them a rectangle that's really, really long and skinny, and then show them like a fat rectangle too. And maybe show them an oval that is really big and then one that's really small. So that way they see the different orientations of shapes, and they're not just recognizing that like perfect triangle that you always see or something like that. So making shapes, like doing the worksheets or the recording pages is important, but I think actually physically making them is really important too. Oh, and my light is on. Oh, it's brighter. That's awesome, because it's a little dark today. But yeah, so this is something I think that we've done forever, right, guys? Making the shapes with the popsicle sticks, or toothpicks and Play-Doh. And I think it's really important to talk about, well, the sticks are the sides, and the Play-Doh balls are the vertices. And I think it's totally awesome to use these, use those big words with little learners. And I keep these on a book ring. You can take them off if you want, but these again are in that pack. And then, I mean, you gotta have shape Play-Doh boards. You gotta have those for a Play-Doh theme. And then here's the road boards again, the road shape boards. And I actually have the road shapes as a freebie in my transportation post, so I will link that after we are finished. And then these are another fun one. So these are Lego shape cards, so they get to make the shapes with Legos, and you can use little Legos, or you can use the big Dupo Legos too, so it's either or. So yeah, so they just get to make all the different shapes with Legos, because I mean, what kid doesn't love Legos, right? And then you can't forget about geoboards. So I have the cards, and again, you can talk about the sides and the vertices. And even if they don't, they can write them on there, but we don't write on ours, and I actually keep these on a ring in with my geoboards all year. That way, if they want them, they're there. And then once we do these, I actually keep these on a ring in my Lego bucket, and then I put the Play-Doh ones in with my Play-Doh like tools. But back to geoboards. But they can make the shapes on the geoboard, and I like these. If you go to the top, I got these off Amazon. Sorry about what is that? The glimmer. One side has the holes, and then one side has it so you can make the circular shapes. So yeah, and I use loom bands because these are so much more inviting than like a regular rubber band. So yeah, you can see some of my friends have made all kinds of fun creations with them. So yeah, so make shapes with all different things. Don't just make them with Play-Doh, like use popsicle sticks and Legos and geoboards and whatever you have on hand. And then I also have some CoverUp Games in my shape pack, and there's 3 different levels. So if you do have this pack, look in the corner, because it'll say which one it's for, like shape set 1, shape set 2, shape set 3, and I think there's up to 4. That way they get harder shapes as you go. So yeah, so you can use mini erasers to cover them. You can do it as a graph. And these are just those clear spinners, which I can't pick up very well. And I love these because you can just set them on a spinner and then they spin. So yeah, so do some graphing games, do some cover up for your shape game. And you can see, like, I try to turn the triangles kind of funky, and I turn the shapes weird ways, so that way they're not always, again, that typical triangle. Like that one. Like that's that typical triangle we always see, right? All right. And then in my sensory table, I threw in whatever shape manipulatives I had. So I have these linking. I want to say I got these from Scholastic, but I'm sure you can get them on Amazon. They're like linking shapes. So those are, chains, sorry. They're like linking chains. And then I have, these are like those translucent, transparent. My kids were not into the light table this year, so we're just using a lot of our light table manipulatives in other ways this year, which is fine. And look what this friend did. She figured out that in this set, there's a whole circle, and then there's like a half, and then these little ones are like fourths, and then obviously she wasn't saying that, but she was still putting them together like a puzzle. And I just threw these muffin tins in so they could sort them. And I was gonna like glue one of these to the bottom, but then I was like, you know what? That's gonna that'll stifle their creativity. Like maybe they want to sort by color, and maybe they want to do color and not shape, and maybe they want to sort all of them and not just the shape beads. Maybe they're gonna want to do all of them. So that way, I was gonna again tape something in, but I decided not to. That way, I wouldn't stifle their creativity and their imagination, because my little friend would have never figured that out and she did that totally independently. Like I walked over during play and she was doing that all by herself. Like she would have never done that if I would have stuck something in there. So, yep, totally open-ended and awesome things happen. Yep, Amazon is where I got those spinners. Okay, so yep, that's my sensor table. Just so much fun. And then some other manipulatives you have in your classroom you can bust out for your shape theme. These are shape cookies. I want to say I got these like right when I first started teaching. And you guys, these are played with all the time. Like probably one of their #1 favorite things to play, because you can use them for dramatic play, and it comes with a spinner. But they sort them, they count them, they love these things. They're on Amazon. And then these are something new I got last year. They're, and you can tell my kiddos mostly make stars with them right now. But you can make shapes with them. Like, oh, those are like, you can make 3D shapes with these. So for all my kinder teachers, you can make 3D shapes with them. But my kiddos are obviously making the more simpler ones. And it comes with these cards. So pretty fancy. And then if you have magnet blocks, bust those out, because these are all shapes. And you can talk about, you know, how many small shapes make, or how many small squares make a big square. And they can, you know, try and figure that out. And just building and touching again, and, you know, noticing those sides, saying, you know, look, feel the side. It has 1, 2, 3, 4. And then buttons. If you have shape buttons, those are great for sorting. This is a Melissa and Doug tray I got from, I think Cars came in it, maybe? I can't remember. But yeah, I love Melissa and Doug because they have some of the best trays that come with their stuff. So these are just some, I think the big shape buttons are from Amazon, and the little shape buttons are from Walmart. So again, just sorting and, you know, exploring those shapes. And then pattern blocks. And then these are just some pattern block sheets I got from Scholastic one year. You can literally just throw these in. And then if they want to play with them, they can. If they don't want to, they don't have to. And these are also great to put out for like morning table time. So that, and then of course we have to have a stew out, right? We have our shape stew, our 2D shape stew. So they are mixing those shapes. And if you own the shape stew, make sure and if you haven't downloaded it again within the past, like 10 days, download it again, because there's a whole bunch of new stews in there. So what they do is they use the recipe card and they'll pick out 8 triangles, 5 rectangles, 6 circles. They'll put it in their pot. They will mix it up and then they will play again. So it's just a fun hands-on, a hands-on shape game. And then in blocks, so blocks is full of shapes anyways. So I have a lot of my shelves are labeled by shape. That's how I label my wood blocks. And then I just put up shape posters on the bulletin board. And then I did put out popsicle sticks. That way if they want to make giant shapes on the floor with them, they can. And then I'm actually, you can tell this hasn't been used yet. So I need to make a couple more. I need to make 4 more because I have 4 hammers. But basically what they do is they hold the golf tee. Okay, I'm totally cheating. They would normally just hold it and then hammer it. But they can hammer to make the shapes and pretend I'm hammering, not just poking it through, because preschoolers don't have that much muscles. Well, maybe some of them do, but yeah. So they would really just hammer it in to make the shapes, because we all know how much they love hammering golf tees and pumpkins and in fruit and things. So why not hammer some shapes? And then this is just some thick cardboard. I want to say these shelves from IKEA came in it, but I'm sure you can find, you could use foam too, like from the dollar store, and like from the craft section, just draw some shapes on the foam, and then they can hammer in those. And then these hammers came with the construction set, but if you don't have hammers, they can totally use like these blocks. So if you don't have hammers, they can use these blocks. I know for us, it snowed like a week ago and it hasn't melted, so we still can't go outside. So any type of sensory and any way I can help some of these kiddos get some energy out when it is not outside time, because we have indoor recess, but it is just not the same as running outside at all. I try, but we do indoor hockey and stuff, but it's just not the same. So do some hammering activities, put out just some extra sensory stuff with shapes, because it's perfect. Shaving cream shapes is also really fun. Put some, which that's like a tried and true, right? Like that's something we've been doing forever. Oh, there's snow on the ground. Because my playground is mostly shaded, so it hasn't melted, and it snowed like a week ago. So we're stuck inside still. Oh well, gotta love winter in St. Louis. So yeah, oh, I have one more activity to show you. Oh, actually 2 more activities, sorry. So these are my shape posters. Look, because I have my shape posters hung on my door on magnets. And if you have big shape posters, you can do this, but put them out on the ground and have them walk around the classroom, or maybe you get a bucket of shapes and have them sort items by shape. Or if you have the shape pack, it comes with a whole bunch of cards, so you can have them sort all of the items by shape that way too. And that's a great way to get them up and moving. And I have done this activity with 18 kiddos, so it is totally possible, totally manageable, all of that. So somebody is asking if we go in the snow. So typically it does not snow that much in St. Louis. Usually we can't go outside because it's cold. It's also like 20 degrees right now, so we also can't go outside because of the cold. So yeah, gotta love it. But yeah, we don't typically do like snow pants and stuff in St. Louis, because usually the snow doesn't only last in St. Louis on the ground for maybe like a week at the most. But yeah, so this is a fun thing you can do, and you don't need my pack to do this. So just write the shape names on pieces of paper, and then draw the shape, and then grab some magazines and have the kiddos cut out pictures and then sort them by shape. And then you can make this into a class book. So yeah, so these I actually keep these in a baggie just so they can kind of get started. And then once they get started, I kind of take mine out and I keep theirs on here. And you can do it front and back. You can make it big. You can add more pages. So yeah, so it's a really fun class book that they can make, or you can post it in your classroom And it doesn't cost any money. It's just magazines. And if you need magazines, ask your parents to donate them to you. So those are the 2D shape activities I do in my classroom. Oh, the pizza shop. I totally forgot. Okay, I'm going to the pizza shop. All right. Okay, I'm going to show you guys the pizza shop. Oh, and we do pizza shop because it's full of shapes, because pizzas are a circle, and all the toppings are different shapes. The cloth at the pizza, like a slice of pizza, is a triangle. Usually the tablecloths are filled with squares. Like there's tons. Pizza boxes are squares, plates are circles. There's shapes all over a pizza restaurant. So that's why we do pizza restaurant during our shape theme. So let me turn it around and I'll show you guys. So if you want all the printables, of course, they're in my Teachers Pay Teachers shop. So this is my grocery stand, which I just put a piece of butcher paper on, and it is now like kind of the checkout. And I usually just keep like the purses and stuff in here. But yes, and then we have some signs like pay here. And then of course, I have a number line and receipt paper to get the cashier writing and noticing numbers. And that way they're actually counting out the money instead of saying like, here's a big handful. Like, oh, it's $3, oh, it's $2, or oh, it's $32. And they're like, well, I don't have that much money. So it's a great way to get some math conversations going. So here's kind of the stand, and then here's our little table. So this is from the dollar store. And then these, okay, so look, this is shredded paper that I cut myself because I couldn't, I found some at the dollar store in yellow, but I couldn't find at the time green or red. So I just cut it up myself and stuffed it in a jar. So now we have Parmesan cheese, oregano, and red pepper flakes. Super, super fun. So those kind of stay on the table. And these are just empty Parmesan cheese containers, and they really do open. And if they want to, take the time to take these out, they can, but they usually don't. So those are our homemade. Oh, so the first year I did these, I glued red pepper flakes to the bottom, and they actually smelled like red peppers when you would open them. And I covered them in glue, and don't worry, they didn't come off. So if you do this, make sure those flakes are stuck, or you don't want to get those in the kiddos' eyes. And then I had oregano at the bottom, so it actually smelled like oregano. So yeah, so that's really fun. And it's also fun to actually have the kiddos make real pizza dough and experience that if you want to. But so what so they are given a menu, and then they can decide on a slice or a whole pizza, toppings, and then if they want some sides. And then back here is kind of like the chef's domain. And this year, we only have chef and customer. So the chef also takes the order. So we have a little order form, and everyone always orders a lot of toppings, always, right? And then if you don't have a lot of paper, or maybe you have a home preschool, or your kiddos just use too much, put these in a dry erase sleeve and still put it on the clipboard so they have something hard to write on, but that way you're not using a ton of paper. And you can usually, pizza restaurants will give you extra boxes if you ask. Here's our drink machine, fancy, a shoebox with a cup glued to the top. Pizza Hut gave us some cups forever ago. Our oven is a box that I put foil on the outside, and I painted the inside with silver paint. You can also spray paint it. I know some people get really, really fancy and cover the table or the bottom box in a brick paper, or that brick bulletin board paper, so you can totally do that. But we just have an oven, and we'll actually use this oven again for bakery because we're doing bakery for December. So totally keep it, and then you can use it for something else. And then here is our kind of chefs, all of their ingredients. Look at all the orders they've did. Look at that. And you guys, when they are taking their orders, there's lots of conversations happening. There's do you want a slice or a whole pizza? What toppings do you want? So they're asking and answering questions. They're saying, oh, I want tomatoes. I want onions. Oh, how many breadsticks do you want? And things like that. You can tell I took this order, and the little lady wanted 5 breadsticks. Oh, look, this one you can tell they tried to write the number for how many breadsticks. And then I also have kind of a a visual of how to make a pizza. And I did include like kneading how to make the dough. Because I added, I don't know, I had flour down here. There's my oregano all the way back there. But I don't know where it went. So I have like flour so they can actually like put all the ingredients in a bowl and mix it up, because I have like measuring cups and things. And then, yeah, so then they make their pizza. So let me show you how to make a pizza. So I have our pizza tray, which looks like something found. This is from the dollar store. And then I didn't, when I first made this set, I was like, I'm not spending $30 million on a pizza set. So I was like, well, how can we make one? So this is brown paper cut up in a fourth. And look at that, they're doing spatial reasoning as they're putting this pizza together. And then the red sauce. So again, they're using spatial reasoning, one-to-one correspondence. They can count out that they need 4. Lots and lots of math happening. And this is, you know, all it costs you is paper. And then maybe they want some cheese on there. And you can have the kiddos help you make the toppings or not. This year, since I do half day, we don't have time. Just because we have to do all the things. But when I taught full day, they did help me make more of the props. So we have cheese. And then we have sausage, which are pipe cleaners, balled up. And then pepperoni, again, just paper, onions, pipe cleaners, olives, mushrooms are just a printable that comes with it. And then tomatoes, which again are just a printable. And so, yeah, so then they put it in the oven. And that's why we have a box oven, so it can fit our big old pizzas. So yeah, and then they can give it to the customer and take it out there. And they got a little pot holder to make sure they don't touch those hot pans. And then I know you're thinking lettuce. Well, I don't have lettuce. Well, have your kids help you make it, or you can make it. So the kiddos drew lines on green paper, and then they cut it up however they wanted. Kind of a hot mess, because lettuce, we talked about how lettuce is all different shapes and sizes, so they cut it up in all different shapes and sizes. So now you have some lettuce. Here, let me make you some. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed. So I'm not the best camera girl with one-handedness. So add some tweezers or tongs or whatever you call them, and then fine motor, and they're putting some lettuce in. So then they have a little bowl of salad. And then we made breadsticks with Model Magic. Yeah, or we can use that air dry dough, and we just painted them. And they wanted, I love glitter. If you don't want glitter, it's totally fine, but they wanted that for the butter. And then if you want a delivery cart, just use your shopping cart and put a sign on the front, and then they can put the pizza in a box, and they can deliver it to their friends around the classroom. And then if you really want to take it a step further, you can have the kiddos make recipes and make a recipe book for the chef. And I know you're thinking that sounds hard, but have them use these. And then I usually have them cut out already, and I just have them kind of spread out in the middle of the table, and then they can use these to make the recipe. And my 3-year-olds, they do scribble, and that's okay. It's just kind of whatever level they're at. So that is the pizzeria. And you guys, there's so much language and social skills and math happening in the pizzeria. It's actually one of my favorite dramatic plays. It's a really simple one, and it's something the kids all experience, usually going to the pizza, or at least getting it, or getting it delivered to their house. Where I live, we're too far out in the country. We actually don't get pizza delivered to my house. So we have to go to the pizza restaurant and get it. But usually kiddos all have ate pizza and ordered it, or got it out of the box and things like that. So it's a great theme, because it's something all kids can relate to. And usually most kids love pizzas. All right, so do you guys have any questions for me about our shape theme or about the pizza shop? Let me know. So you guys have a fantabulous night. Again, up at the top, you can find a link to my blog, and I'll give you more, lots of ideas. Some of the ones we went over, maybe a few new ones, for some 2D shape activities. and links to Amazon about some of the things I use. And oh, and there's a link to my past Facebook Live videos in case you want to check any of those out. So you guys have a great night. So talk to you soon. Bye.